about trying to dodge the Crucible.
Well, we'll talk more about that here. Let's check in the Battlegrounds first in this best-of-5 series. Game number 1 will be on Battlefield of Eternity. Brexit's Holdout and Dragonshire will be banned for this series.
Zero surprises there. Zealots with Quacknix being the draft and the shot caller, they ban out the Dragonshire. It's a map that Quacknix just doesn't really like to call on. He said that pretty openly when he was on Fnatic, so that shifted, and we had Granit Gaming banning out Braxis throughout the split so far as well. Twice already, this is the 3rd time now, so it doesn't really come as a surprise that we're going to see those 2 bans again.
Now, looking over to Granit Gaming, I think one of the reasons why they felt actually pretty stable against Fnatic was Memecraft actually coming in there and not looking so nervous compared to game number 1. Even if he wasn't nervous in the first series, it felt like he was a little bit off in terms of what you expect out of your assassin player. Yesterday, not so much. Able to really follow up with Hanzo, having some good moments actually where he even picked off Schwimpy with some dragon arrows on that fall stat. So if he continues that trend, Granit Gaming seems to be a bit more stable and can hold their own.
Granit Gaming was in general more aggressive. They were trying to force kills and they punished mistakes a lot harder than they did in the first weekend. And that's actually something that I really liked about the team. So they are going to try and transfer that into the series at hand now. And if they can take an early win maybe on Battlefield of Eternity, that should give them quite a bit of momentum. So we're continuing with our high priority bans against Tracer and Genji most likely. But of course, you have to also consider for a few heroes that have pushed very highly in priority. We're talking about Battlefield of Eternity, where Hanzo is very powerful. Urel has now been seen as an early first pick even. So there's definitely a few things to consider. But especially with the performance that we've seen from Memecraft against Fnatic, Zealots are still not willing to let Tracer through. So that leaves us with the traditional 2 bans and the immediate pick on Hanzo, since it is Battlefield of Eternity and you have the Immortal Race.
Granit Gaming gets a really good opening for themselves here. They are very happy to have that Hanzo, especially considering what we saw from him yesterday on the 2 maps that they played Hanzo.
This is where it becomes interesting to me, because we have seen now a lot of teams heading into this weekend and saying, okay, Urel, where does she stand? She's extremely high priority, we want her on our solo lane, but now we're seeing someone who has a lot of drafting experience, a lot of competitive experience. Quacknix is going to draft for the Zealots here, and the question is now, where does Urel fall for them? Because we don't quite know yet, and we have seen Zarmany in the past with slightly different prioritizations than other teams. They love to play their Sonya, that has fallen off a bit, but is still always a fallback option for them. And they also ran a lot of Blaze, and especially on Blaze, he did so well in 2018 first part. But here she is again, the early pick on Urel, prioritizing her very, very highly for that solo lane and adding Liming for poke damage.
Here, you love her for a disruption. Other Battlegrounds, you enjoy her because she can just kind of hold a lane. She can also do pretty well in that wave clear department. And like on Dragonshire, she can jump around between the shrines and control that well. But here, her being able to go to your opponent and disrupt them and prevent them from putting damage on the Immortal can give you a spot where you can win races if you can find an advantage if you picked off a Hanzo, for instance. So Urel really makes a lot of sense here on BOE.
Granit Gaming, that's now going to be the big question. How exactly are they going to react to it? At this point, they can still go into the frontline, for example.
Sure.
They have also the option to go into the preferred healer. We could see that early Malfurion pick here again. And there's still a few heroes that can target the Immortal very nicely. Since we're talking oftentimes about Quacknix in the hero pool, the heroes that he prefers, one of the heroes that he absolutely excels at is Greymane, so there might be a thought process where you either ban out Greymane or you pick him for yourself. But they go into Malfurion as expected, and they target the front line. Not Muradin this time, we have Garrosh for them. But I really want to see if they maybe ban out Greymane here, since Greymane is great for Quack, and at the same time, he's also great on the map against the objective.
I really like the Garrosh here. Occasionally, you'll have Urel or a Muradin come over and disrupt you, as I was talking about earlier, but Garrosh puts a stop to that completely. You can't send one person over to really mess with your opponents, because Garrosh just tosses them into a Malfurion route, you knock them up, and usually you get that kill. So I like the Garrosh coming in. Also, you can follow up on top of the stuns that the Immortal puts in.
And you also deny it to Robodoba.
Yeah, it's true. Powerhouse, Robodoba on Garrosh. Zealots thinking about their ban here? Anyone in particular that you want to take away?
From Zealot's end, looking at this, I would still be worried a bit about additionally more about the offlane. I would probably target the offlane here. Depends a bit on Zarmany if there's any hero that he's not comfortable against in the setup. Banning out
Blaze.
I don't know, Blaze, maybe even Malthael if they are afraid of anything happening to Urel here, but I don't think that Malthael is being a big consideration for Granit Gaming. But yeah, offlane targeting that would probably make the most sense, and they do exactly that. They go for a Blaze ban here.
Also make sure if Liming is to get those resets they can. Abathur banned out for Granite Gaming.
Abathur instead of Greymane, so that leaves Greymane still up, and that's one that we could now see in the rotation for Quark Nix. I'm wondering a bit what else they could pick for him right now. We have seen a lot of false set play recently, especially from Fnatic and from Fnatic players. So Quark has also played the bird quite a bit. On Battlefield of Eternity is always a question, what do you actually get from him? I mean, you have still a Gus as a disengage, but I would say Greymane is a bit more likely for him. For the front line, I would say a rotation between Greymane and Muradin, for example, would make sense for them. They really love to play with Muradin. Robadoba has played that several times now, when he can't get his hands on Garrosh, for example.
It'd be safe. They can also wait and pick Quack's hero in the 5th pick, too. They also have the trump card of Cassia, if they really need to move into it.
Phoenix is also still around, so
True.
they could still also be thinking about Phoenix, but Greymane Muradin is where I would probably see them. But then again, most teams don't leave the support for the last pick and want to be a bit more flexible on that. So support is being picked instead. So we have Muradin, but instead of Greymane, they go into Karazim now and leave then the last damage dealer open.
I'm still wondering about that Cassia option for Quack, especially with the Karazim. He's shown it in the past, he had affinity for it. Did have some XP on the Karazim back then.
It's one of those things that I always find very interesting when it comes to ban strategies in general. Like, there are very few teams that will just leave the support for the last slot because they want to be flexible enough to react if something is picked that they didn't really anticipate.
Sure.
But it would now, for example, allow Granite Gaming to pick Greymane, since I still expect Zealots to go for Greymane as their priority pick if they can get it. Quark can, of course, deviate away from it, but that's what you normally see teams do. So yeah, it makes sense to get the Karazim in that rotation, and then Quark says, okay, I'm going to be flexible enough to adjust here. I mean, he can even play Liming. We've seen him with Liming in the past. It's just highly unlikely that he's going to play that hero, considering that you have Chris on your lineup.
I'm wondering what Darkmonk's going to play here. Sonya, Thrall are immediate go-tos for him as of late. Sonya, again, has fallen off for a while. Ooh, they actually go into the Greymane themselves, take it away from the Zealots, and they also pick up Dahaka.
I mean, it's what I just said. Like, they
Yeah.
can pick it away now, and that's exactly the situation why I sometimes would really love teams to say, okay, there is nothing that can blindside us here that we are so afraid of, so we just leave the support as the last pick. They decided against that, but that allowed Granite Gaming to get that slot. So now they have to deviate away from Greymane here.
I'm still married to Cassia.
I feel like with the picks that came in, that definitely became a better option for them now. But I'm 100% sure that if they could have gotten Greymane in this rotation, they would have taken Greymane. And that's why I said earlier that the Muradin Greymane pick would have been good, or I could have seen that. Corrected it then because, well, again, very few teams are leaving Karazim open. Very few teams are leaving their support open for the last pick. And so Phoenix for the last one here. I can't remember. I think they're actually going to switch this over now.
Put him on Han, or put him on Liming.
Put Quark on Liming and have Chris on
Phoenix.
Phoenix. That I think would make more sense, because I don't remember any great situations where we had Quark Nix rock the Phoenix here, but he has played Liming for sure. So I think originally you want to have Chris on Liming, but now with that adjustment that needed to make, you have to switch them out. And that's one of the reasons why I'm not quite sure if I like it that they left the last slot flexible. I get why.
Yeah.
If something happens, you can adjust. But now you have to adjust who plays which hero, and I just think that Chris plays the better Liming.
I actually really like the draft here for Granite Gaming. You've taken away Garrosh from Robadoba. You got Greymane taken away as well. You have Hanzo on BOE, so you're able to clear out that Immortal phase. And you have Dahaka in case you do happen to fall behind in experience, but you're actually going for the goal of getting 10 first. And I feel like they just equip themselves well to handle this.
They're definitely going to win every single Immortal race if they can commit to it. I mean, the poke game that we have through Liming is actually not too bad, but on a straight-up Immortal race, I think Granite takes it. But we're going to find out who takes the first game on Battlefield of Eternity. In this best of 5 now, towards the left, we have the Zealots with Shat on support. He plays Karazim. Quatnix, as expected now, finds himself on Liming. That means Chris moves over to Phoenix. Robadoba with Muradin on the front, and Zarmany on that off lane playing Urel.
On the right side, in the red, Nande playing Greymane. Raid Boss on Garrosh. Memecraft on Hanzo. Darkmonk on Dahaka. And Wolfjo to play Malfurion.
This game is going to set the pace for the entire series here, since even though Zealots are a slight favorite, I still believe that with Granite Gaming's performance against Fnatic, they have what it takes to win this if they gain some momentum early on. Especially since I still personally, I might be absolutely wrong on that, but the personal impression that I get is that Zealots are currently in a state where you taking early wins and putting them under pressure will cause mistakes because they become a bit nervous and they always have that fear of really falling into the Crucible range now, whereas originally they were hoping to go to an offline event with that setup. So I think that plays a big role here. And that's just my personal interpretation. That might be absolutely wrong, but that's the impression that I got, especially in the last series that they played. So if you put the pressure on early and you win game 1, and maybe they don't really get the coordination that they want, I definitely think that can play with the emotions of the team.
I can agree with those thoughts, but I'm also looking at this team and I just see a lot of potential, right? But I need to see that burst of potential. Where do they finally pull it out? As mentioned by Hasuwabs in our last interview, they feel like they've been doing a little bit better in sprint, so it's time to translate that over into the games. Early so far, been having a little bit of passive play from both of our teams, and as I say that, Raid Boss goes for a toss and puts Robodoba into a root, while Nande is actually taking the time here to clear out the mercenary camp, but without Greymane showing on the field, Shad comes over and scouts it out.
That's an ambitious approach there, but they're just saying, like, in that close quarter, we have the better tools, so it's an aggressive one, but they are willing to take that here, and yep, Zealots retreat. Memecraft has the arrows, Wolfjo has the roots, Nanda, of course, has the on-point damage, and then you have Raid Boss for the displacement, so they are taking that. And Zarmani, of course, with Urel now being extremely strong, is currently dominating the top lane. You can already see that in the turret being down to 30% HP.
Greymane actually rushing up there as well.
Urel is just bossy.
Yeah. Hang on, almost gets through there. Raid Boss looking to pick off Shad, but he's able to dash on out. Hang on though, Thermal comes out. Carol should take a little bit of damage. Unable to follow that up as much as they would like though. Chris doing a solid job working those auto attacks. However, Urel scouts out Greymane in this top lane. See if they make a play to come stop him. He is half health, and Zarmani is a bit of a bully in this situation. Darkmox stepping up as well. But with the rest of Zealots rotating in, Granit Gaming just gives it up.
My mind is actually blown a little bit that they were not moving in more aggressively. So what happened is Granit Gaming takes the camp at the bot lane. That gives them lane presence on the bottom. That could actually be a kill against Darkmox here even. And yep, Dehaka down. So it starts with Granit Gaming forcing the fight bot lane or forcing the camp, and then because they have through the camp lane presence, they start to rotate one hero top. So Greymane is moving to the top lane, and the idea is to let Zealots deal with the bot lane camp while you take the top lane camp. But Urel alone holds it long enough that Granit Gaming all of a sudden becomes scared that Zealots are going to be fast enough with their own rotation to contest it, and that's why they were not decisive enough to just force it as they had the 2 versus 1 advantage.
The last 40 seconds have been a little bit weird for Granit Gaming. They even missed out the experience in the bottom lane, about 4 or 5 minions there, which shows in the experience bar, a little bit behind. Then they make a play for that top lane to be cleared out. Urel will be able to deal with that while the rest of Zealots set up for a defense to make sure that Memecraft, Nande, and Greymane don't hop onto the Immortal too quickly.
Yeah, here's the race potential though, and they are definitely starting to chunk that down quite heavily. Darkmox got away at the bot lane, now Urel is joining the fight again. Memecraft needs to be careful, he's in a really bad spot there and goes down as the Zealots take another kill.
That positioning was incredibly aggressive from him. And this means Zealots can go over and start the halftime show. He'll grab it, deliver a couple of kerosene punches, Li Ming helping out with the clear as well. Pretty solid damage overall. Hanzo will be back in about 2 seconds, but Zealots, if they would like to, can go for this race. They still have Zarmani to delay, as well as Robodoba if they need it, but without Greymane showing up.
If they commit right now, they're going to get it.
Yep.
Hanzo is just simply too late. But that's also why Granit Gaming is going for the immediate defense, and it's just not enough. Darkmox moves in from the side. If he connects a good drag, then maybe it's too late on Shad here. They're trying to get a kill, don't quite make it work, and that should be an Immortal for the Zealots, and indeed it is. We have Li Ming just confirming it with another quick hit and a good combo. So that's a 50-60% shield Immortal that we're now seeing for them. Raid Boss at least steals a few of those globes away in the middle, but still, that's a good start for the Zealots here for sure.
Zealots do look quicker. And 2 of their calls, they had an aggressive Urel play, running to the bottom, dealing with the Immortal, jumping straight on top of Memecraft, and then getting that kill. And then, of course, the disengage, too. So far, looking a little bit more on page compared to what we saw last week. This will award them the Immortal. They'll break down the turret on the top. This is actually a pretty massive shield. See if they can get in there. Oh my gosh, the Raid Boss. With the toss into the root, into Nande blow up with the help of Memecraft, they find a kill.
Yeah, Raid Boss just puts the backpack on there and carries the team into the team fight, making sure that Murning gets just blown up in that case. They don't have the level 7, but that at least allows them to grab it. They are not losing the fort. It's close. But for now, they still hold on to it. Both of the teams now on level 7. We have the Divine Steed coming in on level 7 for Urel. Calamity now, of course, online for Li Ming. That's going to allow for a few plays on Quacknix here again. Now, you played Li Ming already last week. This is for the second time here. Phoenix still with his plays here too. I mean, they have the setup for all the damage. Still, this is at least one opportunity that Granit Gaming used to make sure that Zealots are not snowballing this.
Another pick though, possible coming in. Root comes out, Chris taking the damage, and he gets taken out, but counterattack. As Li Ming starting to get some resets, they're looking for another kill, but with Eyes in the Dark, Nande is able to stay alive. Shad couldn't deliver the final blow. Nande able to survive, but that could have been deadly. Another reset comes in, Quacknix gets 3 kills.
That's the dangerous part here. Once that you get the first kill against Granit Gaming, if Li Ming is not falling, then she can start just continue with Calamity and the combos, and that nearly use the second kill against Greymane. So right now, Granit Gaming with 2 kills against 3, but if you look at the experience, the Zealots aren't really too much ahead. They will eventually take the top 4, and that's going to give them a chunk. But overall, it's not too shabby for Granit Gaming, considering how the early Immortal phase went.
I think if the next Immortal phase goes down, though, Zealots are going to explode in experience.
Oh, this is going to be bad news.
Yeah, big fight happening here in the top right corner. Immediate lockdown. Greymane gets caught completely out of position. Shad body blocking Wolfjo and trying to slow him down. Seeing if his teammates want to follow up, but doesn't look like they'll come in here. He can still dash too.
Yeah, Shaq goes full Rosalie. It's like, boys, I got this. And it's like, no, come back. No, we can't kill them.
No, I got this. I'm blocking it. Come on, guys. Fort goes down, and look at that experience. It jumps up instantly here, almost level 10.
That's exactly the problem. You give them the camp, you give them the fort, you give them a kill. Now all of a sudden, what just looked like teams being fairly even in experience is Zealots taking an incredible lead. And that level 10 couldn't come at a worse time for Granit Gaming. Not only are Zealots going to take the halftime show here, as Granit Gaming is a bit too afraid to move in, but with the level 10 advantage, they should nearly get a 100 shield Immortal, and that will be devastating.
That it will be. You're already pushed out the bottom lane, just come over to help out, even playing on the aggressive spawn here. Just to make sure you get damage in quickly. Ooh, but Memecraft by himself, that's going to be a Stormbolt into a 7-sided strike. Hanzo down, Memecraft. Being bullied today in game 1.
Zealots much cleaner than what we've seen so far.
Yes.
Granit Gaming is missing out a bit on these aggressive snap calls that we've seen against Fnatic. Now, they didn't have level 10, so that's something to be considered here, especially since from Zealot's perspective, that was an easy kill through Stormbolt and 7-sided being used. But yeah, so they even delay that Immortal just slightly so that everyone else can tap at the fountains first, or at least move back to the Nexus even and just top off mana and hit points so that they can rotate into lane together with the Immortal. They don't even lose any time there. And that's going to be tough to beat now, but Granit Gaming, they are great at finding these flanks when they are behind and taking one hero down to make sure that they have an easier defense. That's what they did against Method. That's what they showcased also in the series against Fnatic to an extent, and that's what they're going to look for here once again.
Zealot's going for a 5-man push with this shielded Immortal. Zarmane's here as well, and Granit Gaming will have to sit behind the fort and play safe. They still have the Hawk in the top lane soaking. At some point, he'll have to rotate over here, especially when he gets to that cube turret. But he's just pushing the wave and try and punish a little bit. Granit Gaming going to be hurting after this one as Li Ming sieges away and looks to open this gate.
Yeah, that push is definitely bad news. There comes the arrow and completely misses. The Haka moves in, doesn't connect anything here, and now Granit Gaming is in trouble. Zealots are starting to look for a re-engage, and Granit Gaming has already blown a lot of the important cooldowns that they had.
Even Drag being down, Indomitable as well. Important talents and of course abilities for Granit Gaming. Turret goes down, there's a Salvo as well, just to soften them up a little bit. They're gonna try and grab the well, and maybe even look for a little bit of damage on the keep, but with the Drag being up pretty soon, they gotta be careful. Dark Monk is able to land one, that could be a kill.
Good damage here now for Memecraft, making sure that they at least burn the Immortal down so they can't get the keep itself, but the fort is gone, and there's nearly 13. Isolation is hit on Robadoba, but they just can't follow it up, and that's the problem. They need to force it somehow. They need to get a throw in through Garrosh, or at least be able to connect the Drag with the Haka, and that's not the case right now. So Zealots, they will try and move away from this, and then simply wait for level 13. Robadoba anchoring the play that we're seeing at the camp. Zealots are going to walk away with another mercenary camp and another position where Granit Gaming have to deal with that. Not a good spot for Granit Gaming to be in. They need to kill somehow, and they need it fast.
Well, go for Zarmany, who drops the Ardent Defender instantly, being able to take that damage here. Chris chasing down Memecraft. Memecraft hoping to escape. He bumped a little bit here, and even being in a spot where he has to run to the keep. On the left side, Granit Gaming, maybe setting up for an engage. A drag comes out, but it will be on Murden. There goes the stun as well. Can he pop the abilities? Isolation has connected, but Robodoba gets the avatar and hops on out.
Yeah, gets thrown in, hops back out. The arrow this time connected, and Memecraft did a lot of damage there, but Robodoba still survives, and that's again cooldowns burned, and now the 13 is there. The initial attack was great against Urel. The problem was that the Ardent Defender was popped in time, and therefore it did absolutely nothing to him. Had zero problem surviving that, and at this point, Zealots are just looking for the keep. They're moving in already as we speak. Raidboss is a little bit low, but a nice move by Darkmok. Going into the backline here. Krapnik's in trouble as everything connects on him, but he's still alive.
Darkmok keeping getting that isolation on him, wasn't able to get the kill as he was able to blink away. 13-12, Zealots are escaping, and while these fights are using a lot of heroics for Granit Gaming, Zealots are still looking crisp here. As they'll be able to move over, grab their Night Cam, and set up for the Immortal phase, and they still have a half a level lead over their opponents, where they have the town advantage.
The saving grace is that Granit Gaming basically didn't lose out on experience at that top lane, because the Haka moved in time to catch all the waves. So there is actually a chance in which they could, they should be able to fight on the halftime show here. They're going to give up the early advantage, but with the speed that they're currently taking these lanes, if they just grab the bot lane, which is what Greymane does, and move to the top with their Haka, where we find him, they should be able to fight for this on even talents. The problem is, it's a fight they need to win.
Yeah. Well, they'll have Twilight Dream, they'll have Isolation. If Darkmok can find that flank, he should be fine. They still have the top lane pushing in too. So they can play defense, play it slow here, don't force anything too crazy. Burrow comes out from the Haka as he's on the bottom side.
They definitely have
to poke.
They definitely have the tools. It's just that this is more or less
execution.
Yeah, I don't want to call it the last chance that they have, but if they lose this one, then we're talking keeps. That's a great arrow against Karazim though, but there's no follow-up. Great zoning by Robodoba with a beautiful Stormbolt, stopping them from engaging onto him, and now Phoenix is down. That's the kill that Granit Gaming needed, and they find it.
Raidboss stepping up and grabbing Chris. He can bring out the top before he can teleport away. Granit Gaming having 5v4, continuing to poke. Memecraft working on those arrows, getting the heals from Wolfjo over time. No heroics available, but they don't need them. They have the number advantage.
That's again Granit Gaming. It's what they do. They are behind, they are about to lose it, and then they find that one kill. They go initially for Karazim, but that doesn't quite work out, and then all of a sudden it's Phoenix who's in trouble. Now they're pushing this in. Phoenix is back, but they're looking for another kill. Great connect against Robodoba, but the Avatar is already being used. They're trying to ship targets into Karazim. He uses a seven-sider to get out Memecraft with their hits. A combo from Li Ming hits Quacknix looking for the reset. Doesn't find the kill though.
Raidboss is the taunt in 3 seconds. Zealots will need to be careful. Granit Gaming pulls back. They'll be able to tap and reset here, but they have started to equalize out the Immortal phase.
They haven't equalized that, but they're tapping now at the fountain. Great push out by the top lane. The Haka has, of course, his global backup, so you can use that.
Dragon Arrow up again, too.
They need that kill again. They found one. They need more. They can't lose the objective here. That would mean keep.
Nande gets stunned. Dangerous Care comes out, tossed into the stun there. Salvo will be able to connect. Ooh, doesn't fully go off. Shad here brings out the heal for his teammates while Zarmi's on the back line, going for Memecraft and Wolfjo. Pops him into the Immortal phase, the Ardent Defender coming out, but Granit Gaming is still healthy. Nande goes in, gets a little bit of a slash there as Calamity comes out in 7-sided strike.
But Chad with a 7-sided trust, expecting Nande to jump into it, and that didn't happen. Nande immediately pulls back as he realizes, I can't kill Urel. So he's not trying, he's actually not overstepping, and that was beautiful by him to realize, I can't get the kill, let's move back. If I overstep here, they might be able to kill me. He didn't even see that 7-sided. Shad had that in anticipation that he would follow it up. That didn't work. Another cooldown burn. And Granit Gaming, now they're just holding on to it.
Granit Gaming continues to also interrupt Chris when he goes to the
Stun
Salvo
on
here.
Greymane.
Salvo hits 4, Nande takes the damage, and he finally gets cleaned up as Phoenix helps secure the kill. Robodoba moving forward. We'll have a Stormbolt soon. Goes in, gets a Stormbolt. Wolfjo is low on mana. He has to pop Icebox just to stay alive, but he finally gets taken out.
It starts with Nande. He moves into the stun circle, gets stunned, the circle connects, and adds another CC on top of it, and that's enough to take Greymane down with a salvo. Now we have 3 eliminated, and that's number 4. Garrosh falls victim to Shad as he drops the 7-sided again, and here the Zealots move in, take another Immortal, have half a level until they hit level 16 with the extra talent, and it looks more and more as if the first keep of the game is going to fall soon.
Zealots should be able to get 16 off of this. They'll have a wave here in the top lane. They'll be able to grab those turrets. And with 16, they can force a fight at any point. Murden jumping in. Granit Gaming will set up for defense, and they'll have everybody up. We're just waiting for Garrosh to spawn here in about 5 seconds. The Haka just now coming in too. We'll have to wait for an arrow before we have an immediate fight from Granit Gaming, but I don't know if they have the time here. I think you're right. This keep should definitely be going down. It's just a question of whether or not Zealots can get more.
I mean, Zealots have to push the keep now. You are talent ahead, you are 2 levels ahead, and you're in a position where you run with the objective. You need to try and get the most out of it, and that means keep at this point. They're taking the side walls down as well, and they're pushing aggressively forward. They have the wave, the minion wave with them too. A lot of shots are going to be absorbed there, and that is 100% keep. If they find a kill here, they can even push it further.
Sun's coming out. Raid Boss able to sidestep. Robodoba looking for a target. He sees Nande on the left side. Nande threatening the idea of going into the back line. Zarmany creating a little bit of space for his team, willing to even prep the hammer in case anyone goes in for a fight. The Immortal will get cleaned up. Arrow comes out, but does not connect.
And that's the turnaround attempt.
That's a solve.
4-man salvo coming through, no kill. Twilight Dream, is that going to be enough? Was a decent one, but not good enough to have any effect here. Zealots were retreating. Granit Gaming attempting to chase, but then the attempt to turn that around. Now, Granit Gaming is going to have level 16 again to fight over the next objective, but now they've lost the keep, and that adds another tool into the arsenal of the Zealots as they now can play through the dominance of the top lane.
16 about to hit for the Hanzo, though. Pierce coming online. Important around the Immortal phase, able to poke your opponent while also working on the Immortal. And they do have the Haka for top lane, so that catapult pressure, while there, it's manageable.
Yep.
Granit Gaming can definitely deal with that here. And with 16 right around the corner for Granit Gaming, you'll have probably one more chance for them to win a team fight and an Immortal phase.
The point that we still have to make here is if Granit Gaming actually wins a decisive team fight, let's say they take 2 down and they grab the Immortal and it's a strong one, they will get a lot of experience and structures, and that would close this experience gap very quickly. Their saving grace is, as you pointed out, the global that they have with the Haka, because you can deal with that lane. But Zealots have so far done exceptionally well. They took a lot of kills here, 9 kills against 3. They had very decisive team fights. So for them, it's all about keeping Quacknix on Li Ming and Chris on Phoenix safe when the engage happens. Because Granit Gaming has really done well when these arrows connect, or when Garrosh, when Raid Boss finds a throw. If that doesn't happen, on the other hand, then Granit Gaming is in a bit of an awkward spot here. But now you have Alpha Wolf and enough damage output towards the front. You can maybe murder in with it as well. So there are tools for them, for sure. But this is getting worse and worse. They need to turn this around at some point. This is not looking good for Granit Gaming. Judgment
time. Zealots immediately up on the Immortal. Mirror Ball, so helpful for Li Ming to help shred that down. Granit Gaming sits up on their side on the right. Start working on their own attacks. Memecraft trying to clear it up. Zarmany comes in for the big flank, though. They want to fight instantly.
Nande is being thrown out here, and he needs to be really careful. The entire team fight that they lost earlier started with him getting stuck in the Immortal stun because he stepped out a bit too far, nobody was following it up, and then he got stun locked into the circle. So right now, he is a prime target. They find actually someone, but it's Urel again, and the Ardent Defender comes through. Good cooldown trade, though.
Darkmonk's here, though. He has a drag, there's still an arrow available. Granit Gaming wants to force this fight. Ardent Defender down for another 85 seconds, so Granit Gaming steps up a little bit, puts some damage on the Immortal. They see that Zealots are doing the same. So Zealots get the lead in the halftime show. Granit Gaming gets on top of the map, and they have to.
The Ardent Defender and the reflexes on Zarmany are great. The problem is really you trade a massive cooldown with 100 seconds against Greymane's Cursed Bullet, and that is just not enough. So you can't pull that off too many times. So it saved him for now, but he's down for another minute. So all of a sudden, Urel becomes a viable target here.
Darkman goes to the bottom lane. Brushtalk will be up soon. So we'll wait on that before we have Granit Gaming step up. They're waiting on that Brushtalk to become available, but they have to clear out that keeps being pushed in. Zealots will walk towards the Immortal, realizing that Dahaka's not here. Chris on this right side, watching for Dahaka, scouting out for him, and it's starting to get to a point where Granit Gaming is actually getting chunked. Look at Raid Boss here, he's taking some damage.
Yeah, but now they have another opportunity to force that fight. And Ardent Defender is still down. So Urel is still an option. It forces Zarmany to play a bit more passive, and that's what they want. Okay, there we go. Again, a bit of damage against Muradin here. No Cursed Bullet being used for that fight. But yes, Granit Gaming is eventually going to run out of time because, as you say, there's poke available, especially around Li Ming, and she does well. Raid Boss loses hit points, he can't just step forward anymore.
I want to commend Chad here. Playing safe, making sure not to get hit by the arrow. He is there. If a Dragon's Arrow comes out, hits multiple targets, he'll have that cleanse available. Saving his teammates. Arrow comes out, it flies, it connects. It actually hits Chad, though. He gets locked down. This is actually terrible for Zealots.
Raid Boss, on the other hand, gets hit by the salvo, and he falls. It's the counter kill they needed, and that's the double as Malfurion dies. Memecraft barely escaping here. Nande also trying to somehow get away, but Chris and Zarmany are chasing him down. That's a quad kill as we have the Haka falling in the back. Memecraft, the sole survivor, and this is looking more and more like the beginning of the end.
Granite Gaming found the one target they needed to try and get that win available to them, taking out Shab, preventing the cleanse, stopping the 7-sided strike, but Zealots collapsed so well. Salvo into a reset, and the moment that reset came off, they just picked off targets one by one, killing off 4, and now with an Immortal phase, they can make a march for the core.
Yeah, they definitely can. It's Memecraft who already tries to defend the core here, but they are preparing the waves at the bot lane. 20 is going to be ready fairly soon, and that's going to be a strong Immortal as well. Granit Gaming is going to be back up on the map to defend against this, but the problem is the keep is nearly down. It's down to 20% HP right now, and it will give them level 20. If the keep doesn't, the next wave will, and the Immortal is still on 50% shields.
20 connects. Immortal, still with the 50% shields you mentioned, walks towards the core, looks to take down that armor. Granite Gaming setting up a concave around here, wanting to play off Darkmonk and a drag, but he's not finding anything here. Stunned, right under the Immortal phase. Salvo comes out as Raid Boss in that front line is going to take some damage. Yeah,
Wolfjo is low, and so is Raid Boss. 7-sided, and down they go. Both are dead. Garrosh and Malfurion eliminated. Hanzo dies. Another triple kill for the Zealots as they go for their core, and that is game 1. That's all she wrote as Granite Gaming loses on Battlefield of Eternity, and the Zealots take the first victory.
Zealots definitely taking some steps from last week, seeming to be a little bit more clean here. The communication seems to be a focus for them for during the scrims during the week, and it really shows today in game number 1. But I also want to say, looking over to Granite Gaming, it feels like Memecraft a little bit out of position a couple times there, but also the team just having a hard time with these full engages they want. Zealots just handling them so well.
I feel it's, for me personally, it was just Nando overstepping a few times.